In my time working with parahumans, I'd seen much scarier things than the basement door. Gideon stood out as the front-runner, aided in no small part by the menacing aura he projected naturally, although even after I'd gained immunity to that, he'd still terrified me because I'd gotten a glimpse of just how strong he really was. There were also plenty of other things I'd had genuine cause to be afraid of. The Therians who'd kidnapped me, my sire and his assault on my home, the mad vampire hunter who'd shot me with a harpoon. I could go on for some time, which, now that I say that, is a somewhat horrifying statement in and of itself. However, while I'd seen plenty that actually scared me, few things up to that point had ever been so creepy. Forgive the stale description, but it's hard to find accurate words for the sense that filled me as I stared at the dense wooden door made from the same material as those in the front of the castle. I wasn't afraid. None of my primal vampire senses were saying I was in danger. All the same, something just felt off, wrong, like I was near something not meant to be, which, given that I had an office in a magically animated house, meant that it had to be pretty far along the weird spectrum. Not that I don't love standing here watching you stare at a door, but we might want to get somewhere a little less bright soon. Neil pointed behind us to where a surprisingly intact window was being slowly filled with the sun's rays. Our position was currently protected by the shadows, but sooner or later the hall would inevitably become inhospitable to me. In retrospect, perhaps deciding to explore the basement just before the sun would make escaping it highly dangerous had been a poor decision. Then again, it wasn't like I'd known the exact layout we'd be dealing with before I'd thrown out the idea. None of that mattered, though. I was there, and having seen how many windows and holes in the wall dotted our journey back, leaving would be nearly as risky as staying. I suppose we should head on in. I walked forward, taking the metal handle, which felt colder than it rightly should have, in my grip. Before I pulled it open, I turned briefly back to Albert and Neil. Listen up. Even if I can't leave, if I say you need to run, then do as I say. We won't leave you behind, Fred, Albert told me. Neil looked less sold on the sentiment, but he kept the opinion to himself. Yes, you will. I'm your boss, and I'll be giving you an order which I expect you to obey. And you don't need to worry. Vampires are a tough lot. We can withstand quite a bit. My larger concern is for Neil. As the only one of us completely alive, he's the most vulnerable, and I'll expect you to watch over him as he escapes, Albert.